Returning the welcome mat to America's doorstep is one of the number of steps that Congress can take to turn back the tide of illiberalism abroad and reassert our traditional leadership of the international effort to enlarge the circle of freedom. But there are others. First, the world's superpower deserves a first-rate diplomatic and development corps, properly resourced and with the capacity to direct and disperse effective foreign assistance that also advances our national security interests around the world. The proposed cuts to the State Department and USAID would fundamentally impair our ability to conduct a range of vital work around the world and must be opposed and reversed. Congress, through the appropriations process, has the power to reject the gutting of our diplomacy, and I am confident that we will. Second, the promotion of human rights has always been at the heart of American foreign policy. Yet the new Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, did not even bother to show up for this year's release of the Report on Human Rights, a sharp break with the practice of previous secretaries. I hope that the new Secretary will look for ways to highlight support for human rights going forward. Here, too, Congress has the power to act, to impose sanctions such as those authorized under the Magnitsky Act, by directing or withholding spending, and by using the bully pulpit of Congress to shine a spotlight on particularly egregious cases, as I and others have been doing for the past decade through the Congressional Caucus for Freedom of the Press. And in this context, I think about people all over the world who look to the United States. I think about those young protesters in Tahrir Square before their revolution was hijacked by the Islamists. Many of them now are in prison. Others are worried about going to prison. And I think they must look to the United States and wonder, are we still here? Do they still have an advocate? Do they still have a voice? And if that voice doesn't come from the White House, it is incumbent on Congress to be that voice. Third, we must respond to the manipulation of the media, the creation of actual fake news, state sponsorship of networks like RT in Russia, and China's CCTV, and armies of internet trolls who help to amplify and spread malign content, are effective tools to undermine democracy and pluralism and keep the West off balance and on the defensive. Rather than slowly starving our international broadcasting programs, which for 7 decades have been bringing real news and hope to millions trapped by oppression, Congress should dramatically increase our ability to meet the challenge by expanding languages and platforms and ensuring that content is relevant to a contemporary audience. We also need to direct assistance to strengthen independent media in states along Russia's frontiers, which are the target of relentless pro-Moscow propaganda. Fourth, we must continue to work with our international partners to share intelligence on attempts to undermine democracy. According to press reports, it was a tip from British intelligence that may have first alerted our government that Russia was hacking into the DNC, and our best guarantee of success is collective action and constant vigilance. Through the Annual Intelligence Authorization Act and our ongoing oversight, this is an area in which the 2 intelligence committees in Congress can be extremely helpful, and I intend to push for additional sharing on Russian activities. Finally, we must reaffirm our commitment to the alliances and international structures that we created in the decades after the Second World War. The UN may be maddeningly imperfect. Our NATO partners may not always meet their funding commitments, and it may seem that we are on the short end of trade disputes. But the global system that some see as so constraining is by and large an American work product, and one that locks in structural advantages for the United States. Congress should reject cuts to the UN and other international organizations and forcefully restate our commitment to NATO and our other allies around the world.